All right, so get ready. Because today, we are really going to deep dive into Parasite.
Oh, yeah.
We're going way beyond just the surface.
Absolutely.
And we're really going to try to figure out why this South Korean thriller just like captivated audiences everywhere
Yeah.
and snagged so many awards.
It's wild.
It's a really decorated film.
Yeah.
We've got the Wikipedia article right here in front of us.
Okay.
So let's just jump right into it and see what kind of cinematic gold we can pull out of this thing.
You know what's so interesting about this film is that it's not just a straight thriller.
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho is so good at blending in like dark humor and these moments of like real family warmth.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's playing with what we think is going to happen.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And speaking of not knowing what to expect, remember how the Kim family,
Yeah.
like they're struggling, they're in their semi-basement apartment.
Right.
They kind of like weasel their way into working for this like super rich family, the Park family.
Right.
And at first you think, oh, this is kind of a classic rags to riches story.
Right.
Classic.
But it's not.
Not even close.
That's when Bong Joon-ho throws in this huge curveball.
Huge.
Right? He introduces another family that's been like secretly living in a bunker underneath the Park's house.
Yeah, like under their luxurious home.
It's crazy.
I know.
And it just adds this whole other layer to this idea of parasitism in the film.
That's for sure.
It shows us that like exploitation can be so much more insidious than we think.
100%.
Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah.
Nobody sees that coming.
Especially the first time you watch it.
But before we like get too far into all the twists and turns,
Okay.
I want to go back to something you mentioned like way at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which was that blending of genres in the film.
Yeah?
It's suspenseful. It's darkly comedic. It even like pulls at your heartstrings at times. It's not just a thriller. It's also a commentary on society. It's a family drama.
Right.
It's like so much is packed into this one film.
It makes you really stop and think, like, who are the real parasites here?
Is it just the Kim family, trying to like con their way into the Park's house?
Yeah.
Or is there like a bigger picture parasitism going on, within like the whole class system?
That's such a great question. And it kind of reminds me of one of the most interesting symbols from the film.
Oh, yeah.
That scholars rock the susuk.
Right.
It's like this recurring object throughout the film that's totally open to interpretation.
Right. It really is. And, the director, Bong Joon-ho, he actually dodged a question.
Really?
About the rock's meaning by throwing a foam replica of it at a journalist.
Oh, I love that.
So clearly he wants the viewers to kind of come to their own conclusions.
Yeah, he doesn't want to spoon feed it to us.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because even the actors have their own interpretations of the susuk.
Oh, wow.
Choi Woo-shik, who plays Ki-woo, sees it as a symbol of the pressure on his character to like support his family.
Okay.
While Song Kang-ho, who plays the father, he sees it more as his son's aspirations for a wealthier life. It's cool how it can have all these different meanings.
Yeah. And, when you think about it, the Susaka's journey through the film, it almost mirrors the journeys of all the characters.
Yeah, it does.
Like it starts out as this gift, this symbol of hope.
You're right.
But by the end, it's literally weighing Ki-woo down.
Like a burden.
Yeah.
Wow.
And something else I think is really masterful about the film is how Bong Joon-ho uses like visuals to emphasize this class divide.
Oh, yeah.
Like just think about the contrast between the Kim's like cramped little semi-basement apartment and then the Park's like massive mansion.
It's huge.
It's not just set design.
Yeah.
It's a visual metaphor for the huge gap between their worlds.
Yeah, and it's not just the sets too. Even the camera angles play a big role.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like when the Kim family is all crammed into their apartment together.
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho often shoots them from low angles. So it makes them seem even smaller and more trapped. Whereas the Parks are often shot from above, which emphasizes like their elevated position in society.
That is a really good point. I never even noticed that before.
That's subtle, but it's effective.
So on the one hand, you have this like really intricate visual storytelling.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have this like susuk that's traveling through the film. And its meaning is changing as it goes.
It's really cool.
It's no wonder this film resonated with people all over the world.
No wonder at all.
And speaking of its global impact,
we
can't ignore like the elephant in the room, which is like the awards. Oh yeah, Parasite cleaned up at all the award shows.
Sure.
Like the Wikipedia article lists just tons of awards.
It's wild.
But I feel like the Palme d'Or and the Best Picture win were just historic.
Historic.
A South Korean film being the first non-English film to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
That just shattered barriers.
Completely.
And changed how we think about international cinema.
100%.
And the Palme d'Or win at Cannes.
Oh.
It was unanimous.
Crazy.
The last time that happened was in 2013.
I know.
Like, these awards weren't just flukes.
Right.
They solidify Parasite as a modern classic.
Totally.
You know, it's interesting because Parasite wasn't just celebrated by film critics.
Yeah.
It, like, sparked conversations everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, people were debating the ending the characters.
Yeah.
You know, the film's social commentary.
Absolutely.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so brilliant.
I know.
It's not just entertainment.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
It is.
It pushes you to confront some uncomfortable truths.
Yeah, about class and inequality and all that.
Right.
It's heavy, but it's important.
Totally. But before we get too deep into those messages,
Okay.
I kind of want to step back for a second.
Okay.
And look at something else that the Wikipedia article mentions.
Okay.
Which is the production details.
Yeah.
So they shot the film in 124 days.
Okay.
Primarily in Seoul and Jeonju.
Got it.
And get this, it was made on a budget about $11.5 million US dollars.
Wait, 11.5 million?
Yeah.
For a film of this caliber, that's insane.
It's astonishing.
I know.
It just shows you that you don't always need a massive budget to make a masterpiece.
Right. You need talent.
Exactly.
And vision.
And you know that meticulous attention to detail we were talking about earlier? It's really evident in every frame.
Yeah.
Everything from the set design to the camera work was so carefully considered.
Right, yeah.
To create that really specific mood.
Yeah.
And enhance the story.
Yeah, it all works together so well.
Absolutely. Speaking of details.
Yeah.
There was one thing that really caught my eye in the article.
Okay, what was that?
That Italian song, In Ginocchio da Te.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed so random at first.
Yeah.
But knowing Bong Joon-ho,
yeah,
there has to be a reason.
Oh, for sure there is. He doesn't do anything by accident.
So why?
Well, Bong Joon-ho himself said that he chose it because he liked the title.
Interesting.
Which translates to On My Knees for You.
No.
And when you think about the power dynamic between the Kim and Park families...
It's like foreshadowing the entire film.
Exactly.
It's subtle, but brilliant.
It makes you wonder what other little hidden gems are tucked away in the film.
Right. Like, what else are we not picking up on?
That's the beauty of Parasite. And, you know, it's a film that rewards multiple viewings.
Oh, yeah.
It reveals something new every time you watch it.
I'm already, like, itching to rewatch it.
Yeah, no, me too.
But before we go down that rabbit hole...
Okay.
Let's talk about that HBO miniseries adaptation that's in the works.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Bong Joon-ho is involved, along with Adam McKay, who directed The Big Short.
Yeah, that's a really interesting pairing.
I'm really curious to see what they come up with.
Me too.
But for now, let's stick with the original masterpiece.
Okay.
So we've talked about the plot,
the
symbolism,
the awards,
like all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Now I think it's time to dive into, like, the heart of Parasite.
Okay.
Its themes.
Where do we even begin?
Well, there are so many layers to unpack.
I know.
But I think the most obvious and maybe the most unsettling one is the film's exploration of social inequality.
Right, and that's definitely the theme that sticks with you long after the credits roll.
It does.
It's not just about one family conning another, you know?
Right.
It's about, like, the systems that create these disparities in the first place.
Yeah, and the film doesn't offer any easy answers.
Right.
It challenges us to confront some, like, really uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the societies we live in.
It's not always a pleasant experience.
Not always.
So for all of you listening out there, think about this.
Okay.
How does Parasite reflect the realities of inequality in your own life?
Ooh.
In your community, or even like on a global scale?
That's a big one.
It's a heavy question, I know.
It is.
But it's one that I think the film demands we ask.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as we go deeper into all the themes of Parasite, we're going to uncover even more questions that make us really re-examine our assumptions and really confront, like, the complexities of human nature.
I love it. Let's do it.
All right, let's go. You know, it's like Bong Joon-ho is holding a mirror up to society and forcing us to confront this really uncomfortable reality of, like, the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Right. And he does it so brilliantly.
He really does.
Like, using all these, like, small, seemingly insignificant details to highlight the vast differences between the Kims and the Parks.
Yeah, totally.
Like, remember how the Parks are just totally obsessed with the smell of poverty?
Oh, yes.
Like, it's this thing.
It's so weird.
No.
that seemingly insignificant detail becomes this recurring motif.
Right.
Like, this way for the parks to distance themselves from anyone they consider lower than them.
Yeah, it's almost like a physical manifestation of their prejudice, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like they can smell it, but they can't actually see it.
Right.
Or like understand the systemic issues that create it.
Exactly. And it's that lack of understanding, that like willful ignorance, that is one of the things that makes Parasite so unsettling.
Totally.
Because it's like a reflection of a reality that exists not just in South Korea, but in societies all over the world.
And this brings us back to that word parasitism, which we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
What I think is so fascinating
Yeah.
is how Bong Joon-ho expands this concept beyond just the obvious.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it's not just the Kims literally living off of the parks.
Right. It goes deeper than that.
There's this idea of, like, societal parasitism, where, like, these systems and structures are set up to allow some people to thrive at the expense of others.
At the expense of others.
And that's where the film's social commentary, I think, really hits home.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a thriller. You know, it's like this critique of the systems that create inequality.
It definitely is. And to really understand like the full impact of that critique.
Yeah.
I think we should probably talk about how Parasite was received, not just by critics, but by audiences worldwide.
Yeah.
You know, the article mentions how the film sparked all these conversations and debates.
Oh, yeah. Everyone was talking about it.
Everywhere.
I remember reading reviews that described it as like a masterpiece, like a genre-bending triumph.
Yeah.
A film that will stay with you long after the credits roll.
It does.
And those weren't just from Korean critics.
Right.
Like publications all over the world were praising it.
It's pretty incredible how a film with such specific cultural context could resonate with people from all walks of life.
I know. It's crazy.
Regardless of their background or nationality.
It speaks to the power of good storytelling.
Right.
Even though the setting and characters are Korean, the themes of class struggle, social mobility, and the desire for a better life, those are universal.
Totally. And that's why I think Parasite's success went beyond just critical acclaim.
Oh, yeah. Remember, it became a global box office phenomenon.
It did.
Grossing over $258 million worldwide.
That's huge.
For any film.
For any film.
Let alone a foreign language film.
It's mind-boggling. And to think it was made on a relatively small budget compared to like Hollywood blockbusters, it just proves that like a powerful story expertly told can transcend any language barrier.
I love that. And it's a testament to Bong Joon-ho's vision.
Yeah.
And his ability to craft a film that's both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Totally.
You know, the article mentions that Parasite became the most watched Korean film ever.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive feat.
It is.
And it's not just the box office numbers or the glowing reviews.
Yeah.
Parasite sparked genuine conversations.
It did.
About social inequality, sparked debate and introspection across cultures.
It really did. It's a reminder that film can be more than just entertainment.
Oh, for sure.
It can be a catalyst for social change. Yeah. And a tool for examining the world around us.
Totally. Now, with all this talk about the film's global impact, it's easy to get caught up in the big picture. But I want to circle back to something specific that you mentioned earlier. About how Bong Joon-ho uses these seemingly insignificant details to highlight that stark contrast between the Kim and Park families.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of that?
Sure. One of the most striking visual metaphors in the film is the way Bong Joon-ho uses architecture and space to represent the class divide.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how the Kim family lives in a semi-basement apartment? It's cramped, it's dark, and literally below ground level. While the Park family lives in this sprawling modern mansion perched high above the city.
Like on a hill.
It's crazy how different they are.
And the difference is so stark, and it's not just about aesthetics.
No, it's about so much more than that.
Right.
The physical spaces these families inhabit
become symbolic representations of their social standing.
Yeah.
The Kims are literally and figuratively trapped in their basement. While the Parks are elevated both physically and metaphorically.
And that symbolism extends beyond just the homes.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Think about the way the Kims struggle to find a stable internet connection in their apartment.
Right.
Like they're constantly searching for a signal. literally grasping for a connection to the outside world.
It's like they're cut off.
While the Parks have, like, seamless high-speed internet throughout their entire mansion.
Of course.
It's just another subtle reminder
Yeah.
of all the privileges they just take for granted.
Absolutely. And it's not just the internet.
Right.
Remember that scene where the Kims are forced to take shelter in a public bathroom during a rainstorm?
Oh, yeah. That scene is intense.
They're literally huddled together in the lowest point of the city.
Yeah.
While the Parks are safe and dry.
Up on the hill.
In their luxurious home.
It's like Bong Joon-ho is using all these visual cues to constantly remind us of this massive gulf between these two families.
Totally.
A gulf that exists not just in their material possessions, but in their access to, like, basic necessities and opportunities.
Exactly. And it's all those seemingly insignificant details that when you weave them all together, they create this powerful tapestry of social commentary.
Yeah.
It's not just about one family exploiting another.
Right.
It's about the systemic factors that create and perpetuate these inequalities.
It's really thought-provoking.
And that's what makes Parasite such a thought-provoking film.
Yeah.
It's not just a thriller.
Right.
It's a mirror reflecting the uncomfortable realities of our world.
And it's a mirror
Yeah.
that forces us to confront our own biases and assumptions
Yeah.
about class, privilege,
Right.
and just, like, the human condition in general.
Totally.
So for everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
think about this.
Okay.
How do these subtle details, these visual metaphors, contribute to the film's overall message?
That's a good question.
What do they say about the ways in which inequality shows up in our own lives and societies?
It's a question we're thinking about.
It is.
And as we continue our deep dive into Parasite,
Yeah.
we'll explore even more of these subtle but powerful details,
Sure.
uncovering the layers of meaning that make this film a true masterpiece of modern cinema.
Awesome. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how he uses these, like, everyday things, you know, like architecture and internet access,
Right.
to make these really profound statements about inequality.
It's true.
It's not just, like, in your face, you know, it's like woven into the film.
It's like he's saying that inequality isn't just this abstract concept.
Right.
It's embedded in the very structures we live in and the systems we rely on every day.
And that brings us to another key theme in Parasite, I think.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Which is this idea of desperation.
Okay.
And the lengths that people will go to for a better life.
Right.
Think about the Kim family. Like, their plan is so audacious.
It is.
And let's be honest, kind of morally ambiguous.
Absolutely.
Like, they cross some lines.
They do.
But can we really blame them?
That's the question, right?
I don't know.
Bong Joon-ho is forcing us to ask ourselves, if we were in their position, facing those same barriers, would we make different choices?
It's a tough question.
It is.
It's so easy to judge their actions. Like, from a distance.
From our comfy chairs.
Right. But Parasite really puts us in their shoes.
Yeah.
You really feel their desperation.
You do.
And you understand their choices, even if we don't agree with them.
I agree. And it's not just the Kim family either.
Right.
Remember the former housekeeper Moon Gwang?
Yeah.
And her husband Joon's.
Oh, yeah, they're down in the basement.
Hidden away in that basement.
Yeah.
Their desperation takes on a whole other level.
Yeah, it's like survival mode.
It is pure survival mode.
They're just trying to cling to any little bit of security that they can find in a system that's just totally rigged against them.
And their struggle for survival.
Yeah.
It adds this whole other layer of tragedy to the film.
Right.
It reminds us that for some people, the stakes are much higher.
Yeah.
And the choices are way more limited.
And it's like they become almost symbolic.
Yeah.
Of the unseen, the forgotten victims of inequality.
Yeah, they're literally living in the shadows.
Right.
Hidden beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect family.
It's a powerful reminder that the consequences of inequality are often hidden from view.
Yeah, but they're still there.
But they're no less real or devastating.
Exactly.
You know, thinking back to the beginning of our deep dive,
yeah,
I'm really struck by how much we've uncovered.
Me too.
From just that one Wikipedia article.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
We've explored the plot, the symbolism,
the
awards,
yeah,
the production details.
It's a lot.
It's crazy how much depth this film has.
It's a testament to Bong Joon-ho's skill as a filmmaker.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's created a work that's both entertaining and intellectually stimulating.
It's a rare combination.
It is a film that rewards multiple viewings and invites us to engage with these themes on a deeper level.
And for everyone listening out there,
yeah,
we hope this deep dive has inspired you to revisit Parasite, or maybe even watch it for the first time.
Right.
And just consider its message in a new light.
Because this film is about way more than just entertainment.
Yeah.
It's a call to action,
Right.
a challenge to examine the systems that create inequality and to fight for a more just and equitable world.
And that's what makes Parasite so timely and important.
I agree.
Even all these years after its release.
True.
It stays with you.
It does.
Makes you ask tough questions.
Yeah.
And consider your own role in creating a better future.
Well said.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought.
All right.
What can you do
in
your own life
in your own little corner of the world
to address the issues that are raised in Parasite?
Good question.
How can you be a force for change?
Yeah.
Even in small ways.
Because ultimately the fight for a more just and equitable world begins with each of us.
That's it for today.
Thanks for listening, everybody.